And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Beautiful Monday morning. Going to be warm. 75 degrees is what we got right now. And going to get up in the 90s at least till about Friday. They were talking in here Saturday on the show if they would move start times back again this week. I don't think they will. I think it's late enough into the season. Yeah. Kids should be acclimated. I don't think you've got as many issues with cramps and those kind of things, so I think they'll probably be okay for this week of high school football. Great weekend of college football.
Wow, incredible.
My wife was absolutely convinced that they just keep moving the NFL back every year, and I'm like, no, it starts the weekend after Labor Day.
After Labor
period.
Day.
And there used to not be any college games on Labor Day. This is just recent. Right. But they had there were 3 on yesterday. You could watch football all afternoon. They were on Saturday. They even started back Thursday night is when they actually started. So it was really nice to have that much football out there for the weekend. And there were some games that got national attention that shouldn't have. They weren't the kind of quality games that you would like to see. But needless to say, they got the spotlight. That Northwestern Rutgers game I thought was just ugly. The Oregon State, San Jose State, that was ugly. Yeah, it was good to see, DJ do better.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
And then the nightcap last night, Florida State and LSU. I always have these questions. I'll get your take. In this game, did this game say more about Florida State or more about LSU?
Both.
Okay.
It shows the rise of Florida State.
Yeah.
The resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
Are we all convinced? No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not yet, but we will be because they are very, very good defensively.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then LSU, a little bit of a sophomore slump. Kelly's in his second year. Still getting some kinks worked out, right? He's got some great players.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida State, that number 14, that wide receiver they got is so big, and then that Coleman kid that came in from –
Now 14, is that the one that kept dropping it?
He's a real big kid.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw him catch like 7 or 8 balls last night, and he punished people when they come up and hit him, and then they'd lay on the ground. And he was like a possession-type receiver. And then number 4, the Coleman kid that came in, I believe from Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 touchdowns. Man, they're pretty good.
How do I put this? Almost saw a little bit of old renegade attitude, playing after the whistle, cheap shot taking plays last night. It wasn't really crazy about. Florida, LSU had a couple of unsportsmanlike on the first or second drive. Florida State gave up 30 yards. You as a coach, you can't have that. That kills your team when you're giving up that much.
Yeah, and as you well know, there is that fine line between being extremely aggressive and playing through the whistle and then playing beyond the whistle. And you're right with what you're saying. That it was noticeable. And you wonder, and I kind of give benefit of the doubt early on in the year. They haven't played for 8 or 9 months. Some of them hadn't played for a couple of years due to injuries and things like that. Going at it pretty hard. They train really hard, and when they're almost there, they don't quite get that hit in. It's kind of human nature to think, all these hours I trained, I'm almost there. I need to finish this. Well, a couple of those finishes were not, I guess, on the legal side, and therefore they got flagged.
Yes, they did.
But to your point, that's a good point. It was not disciplined as you would hope that a Brian Kelly team, coach team would be. But they do have things to work on, obviously. But Florida State, if you're in the ACC, you should be concerned with Carolina, and you should be concerned with Florida State, and you should be concerned with, obviously, Clemson. Those are your three.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Tim Smith. Glad to have you guys.
And I'm still waiting to see, where NC State and Wake Forest fall in the mix and where things are. But those three teams, if you're playing any of those three teams, you need to be very concerned.
Well, I guess the thing of it is, I give you some rundown. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was, and I didn't understand this. Southern Cal beat San Jose State the Saturday before. Of course, Navy Navy fell to Notre Dame.
Right.
And then on Thursday we got started. Florida looks terrible. Utah's not a bad team, but they shouldn't be in the same conversation as Florida.
It was awful.
Yeah. I don't know if they're ever going to get that straightened out. Of course, Georgia beat Miss Millie's Daycare 48-7. That was impressive down in Athens. Michigan beat your Pirates 30-3. I thought that was respectable, having to travel to Ann Arbor and play Michigan.
27 points. Okay, don't get in the end zone. Okay, it's it's the Big Ten team. Ohio State is not. Okay, we saw that on Saturday. They are not.
I don't think you're going to get as much out of them. They struggled to beat Indiana 23-3.
They are not the team. So it's just one of them things.
Miss Millie's had a back-to-back game as they got beat by Alabama 56-7. It was Southern Cal over Nevada 66-14. They still haven't played anybody. Penn State, West Virginia 38-15. Washington over Boise State 56-19. Texas beat Rice 37-10.
Yeah.
Not sure Sarkisian has got it fixed yet. And here's the question. Ewers, that's the quarterback at Texas, how much time does he give him before he pulls him out and puts Arch Manning in? Now, my understanding is no pressure coming from the Manning family. That's not they don't work that way.
They're about development. So that's not an issue.
But he may have to do something there because I didn't think that was very impressive for Texas and Rice 37-10.
After next week when they play Alabama, then there'll be some questions about it because it's going to be like 100-7. Okay.
Tennessee over Virginia. Tennessee, I'm not sure that they're completely back yet. We'll wait and see. Notre Dame beat Tennessee State. They're just rolling over these quality opponents. Oregon over Portland State, 81-7, and that's why I don't like to see these games. Just write them a donation check and go play somebody for real.
Well, the flip side, that's a good point. The flip side is this is how football stays alive, I believe, for multiple schools and gives that experience that some young people would never have the opportunity to do. I understand the beat downs and things like that. They're getting paid to get pounded. But also, that's a recruiting tool, for Portland State to say, hey, look, we're going to go play Oregon. We're going to play USC. We're going to play, whoever. And this is your opportunity to play on that stage in front of, 70, 80, 90,000 people. And it gives that experience. It's much like which was incredible was the Nebraska volleyball game where they were able to play in front of 92,000 people. They put it out in the stadium. And Laney, I guess the older I get, the more that I see that, it's about the experiences and trying to help mold these people. And I still see some hope in college athletics for the student-athlete experience and making them the best they can be, for what they want to do. I still have hope in that. And, every day it seems to be challenged, but I still have hope.
I do too. I'm not – 81-7, I'm not sure what that does to the confidence mentality side of the kids on Portland State, even though they knew it, because the first thing is you're just so outmanned, just so outmanned. Kansas State beat Southeast Missouri 45-0. The big game, and we'll talk about this more, Colorado over TCU 45-42. TCU should drop out of the top 25. It was Wisconsin over Buffalo 38-17. Oklahoma beats Arkansas State 73-0. There was nothing there to see, folks. This was a game, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, not a huge Carolina fan, but I have to pull for them in front of the Chickens. 31-17, Carolina over South Carolina. This was down in Charlotte. Spencer Rattler, 353 yards, but no touchdowns. Now, I like Shane Beamer.
Oh, yeah.
But South Carolina is going to struggle, and North Carolina struggled early. Now, all the Carolina fans, I know you had 46 players that were ineligible, and you hate the NCAA because of whatever. It'll get worked out.
That's happening to that young man, though. This is one of those. It's kind of like we talk to the High School Athletic Association or about them sometimes about making decisions that are in the best interest of what is intended, instead of just sticking saying this is what we're doing.
But the problem is they haven't made a decision. These kids.
Have on him. They're not letting him play. That is not right. His season was canceled due to COVID, or because of that. He transferred to another school where he could play that season. That's one transfer. Then he left again, and now he's at Carolina. They say you can't do that unless you have to sit out. The problem is they gave every exception to the world. There's some players that are in their 7th year of college football. 2 of them were playing last night. Mm-hmm. But yet this young man gets punished because a school decided we can't go out and play football because because of this.
That shouldn't have anything to do. When they opened up this portal thing and this transfer thing, all bets are off. You got to let him move.
But that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And as long as he's eligible by academic standards and stuff. Yeah.
And the boy has done nothing wrong. And Mac Brown is right to take up and to take that position for him.
Oh, I agree.
With all the other coaches.
I agree.
That nobody this is not reasonable. Okay? Yeah, we always want to make excuses for inappropriate and deviant behavior. But when something is not reasonable, a decision made, no, we're sticking by our decision because this is what I don't want to hear that. You've already screwed everything up.
Yep.
Like you said, open it up. Hell, it's like the Dr. Pepper commercial. They got that thing open. It's the portal.
Yeah. That's right.
You got to look, man.
I agree.
It's coming full circle.
I agree.
It's coming full circle.
Ole Miss beat Mercer 73-7. Coach at Mercer is Drew Cronick, used to be head coach at North Ryan.
Yep.
Texas A&M over New Mexico 52-10. It was Tulane over South Alabama 37-17. Iowa over Utah State 24-14. And then yesterday it was Oregon State over San Jose State 42-17.
Yep,
DJ had 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, to me, against who he plays, that's not an outstanding outing.
But they didn't. They ran the ball a lot.
Yeah,
and the running back they have, Lenny
Martinez, 18 carries, 145 yards. Yeah,
the guy's a beast. There were some good clips there. While I was watching the game, that it was good. But I was glad to see DJ. I was telling Andrew, it was a great thing that he had an opportunity at Clemson. The problem was he was following the second coming.
That's right.
I'm not being a smart aleck. I mean, that is a little, and to have that put on, that most people can't handle that. He's not bad or wrong, he just needed a reset. He needed to get out of that, get back on the West Coast where he's from, where we don't hear a lot about him. Bring everything down, get reset, and then go again. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. Florida State beat LSU 45-24 last night. Game was closer in the first half than it was in the second half.
And they got a late touchdown on a busted cut, on a bad tackle. Or
Florida State put up 31 in the second half. And LSU only put up 7. Let me take a quick break, and we come back, get more into some of these games, the Florida State game, the Carolina game, when we come back.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4 Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. So a couple of games I think we can delve into just a little bit deeper. Yeah, crack of the bat. I do have a baseball question I need to get into at some point. Tonight, Clemson and Duke. It's at Wallace Wade. There are tickets available, $35. My daughter, Lindsay, was up yesterday, and she said, can't believe you're not going to that game as cheap as tickets are. And I'm like, I've been to Wallace Wade once, and that was enough.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's great.
When I went up there for my senior year, I saw Clemson play every game because I would go watch them on the away games because I was being recruited. Was not impressed with Duke. Sorry, was not impressed. That game is at 8 o'clock tonight.
That's
Clemson
good.
at Duke.
It's going to be hot. Good. Durham
See.
gets pretty warm during the day.
Florida and Utah. We'll go there first.
Yep.
What is Florida struggling with to get back?
I think they struggled with today the same thing they struggled with when they didn't pay attention to when they had really good coaching there and getting them everything they needed to stay relevant and successful. You know, a lot of times people say, well, we can save more and not spend as much and still do. No, it's an investment. It's not an expense. And this is what you get, much like Florida State making their transitional behavior, going, you know, and deciding to do things. I'm not going to get into that, but you cannot go from, when Jimbo Fisher tells you this is what I need to stay relevant and successful, and you say we're not going to do that, then you justly suffer, okay, because you have an experienced, proven winner that has a national championship, and you don't provide. All right, you can call out fairness, Lanny, not you. I'm talking third person. You can call out, oh, we're not going to spend that. Again, it's an investment, because if you don't invest, you will get a very bad return.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Tennessee and Virginia, I'm not throwing off on the Wahoos, but Tennessee did not impress me in that game.
Right.
And Virginia is not very good. I mean, I hate to say that, they're just not very good.
I think you're right. And Virginia's got some. They've got a lot, and I think we all agree and know that they've got a lot of work to do. Tennessee, I believe, the way Heupel coaches, I believe he is not. Let's hit on all cylinders the first, part of the season. Let's implement things. Let's find our identity as a team, and then build upon that. I think that's where his quarterback background and his success at Oklahoma in that era are coming into his coaching, where he understands process and need for improvement instead of looking like a national champion in week 1. I think he's much more concerned about maybe trying to look like that in week 7 or 8. And so I do have some concerns, but they are early on, and he is probably got the biggest chip on his shoulder, and eventually be able to name his price at Oklahoma.
Yeah. Now, the other game, and I saw most of this one, Colorado TCU, great game, 45-42. Shadir Sanders, that's Deion's son. 510 yards, 4 touchdowns for Colorado.
He was incredible. I
want to say this, and I always go back to the old school, the way that I look at things. A lot of people were upset with Deion when he came in, the way he addressed things. But the one thing that he did is when he came in, he kept it real. He let them know exactly where they stood, and if you don't fit, you need to find a place to go, because this is the way I do things. I don't have a problem with that. I would rather have that. I'd rather have honesty and let the chips fall where they may, as for somebody to lead me on. I'll go back to Clemson and DJ. Dabo stayed with him way too long. Way too long.
Oh, yeah.
When he was quarterbacking, for whatever reason, I don't know, contracts, NIL, I don't know what it was.
Well, I had a little bit of, I don't know if I want to say inside info on that, but people that were close to things that were going on, there was a lot invested.
Yes.
And so there was going to be every drained opportunity. And then
But what happened there is you weighed the investment on the one and forgot about the other 100 that were there.
Do not disagree. But I'm saying that
I know, and I understand. I don't like it.
Right.
Don't like it.
It's interesting. I think the way Deion does things is incredible. It's wonderful. He's a disruptor. What normally happens when people come in and disrupt things? They become hated very quickly. It's much like politics. When you have people that come in and say, listen, this is the way it is.
We're not staying with the status quo.
Anything. You've always done it this way, but I'm going to expose it, and this is how we're going to do it going forward. People lose their minds because it is a balance of power.
Well, it's a shift.
And what happens is when it becomes unbalanced and there's a major shift, the louder the screaming gets. People that are true fans of football and following coaches and watching them work with players will love this. The elites in college football, and I'm not talking about the coaches and players, I'm talking about are going to find every opportunity when they play USC this week. Isn't that who they're playing? USC?
Nebraska
this week. If Nebraska holds it anywhere close, they're going to start going straight into the chest. Okay? They're going to start going straight into the chest.
Well, here's what their schedule looks like, and I see 3 games that they can more than likely lose. Yeah. I think they can beat Nebraska, Colorado State. Yeah. They will struggle going to Oregon, at Oregon. The Southern Cal comes to them. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Yeah. That's another they'll struggle. Arizona State, the Cardinal, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State. Utah will be the last one I think they may struggle with. There's 3 games after this that they may struggle with. But Colorado is going to have an unbelievable should have an unbelievable season based on what they've had in the past.
Yeah, it's exciting and it's good, and I think some of the larger programs that have been, your better ones are kind of welcoming it because it's not quite as scrutinized on them as it is on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they welcome that because it allows them to not have to do as much psychological things with the kids to get them ready and to stay hungry.
But everybody thought that this was going to cause Colorado to go the other way. Was it 52 or 56 kids went into the portal?
Oh, they had to.
Yeah. But he let them know, I've seen you play. I've seen your attitude. You can't play here.
Yeah, but he came in and was honest. He
provided
an opportunity for them to for those players to seek other avenues and venues.
Mm-hmm.
Most people come in and then evaluate them, try to be fair, and then tell them, well, I appreciate you coming in, but you're just not a good fit, and they wasted time. Deion came in, said, this is what I want to do. These are the guys that are coming in. This is where you are. I appreciate the fact you were here, but good luck.
You go to Ohio State, Indiana. Ohio State had to kick 3 field goals. They had 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. Now, Indiana could not get on the board, but Ohio State, I think this says more about their offense than their defense. And I'm not sure that they're a number 3 team in the nation.
No,
I'm not convinced.
I
don't think you should even rank teams till you get into about week 5.
No, and I agree.
You're doing it off last year's
and the problem is they have to for TV ratings.
I know.
But
you wouldn't
right.
for me. I don't look at see what the
but
rankings
you
are.
are right.
Yeah.
And
I look for matchups.
This is it's fun to do all that too, to get anticipation and this, that, and the other. Okay, but what happens is the rubber starts meeting the road. And then you watch Ohio State, play Indiana. And you're like, really? Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this, really? Okay. I don't know.
And then here's the other thing that bothers me when you get down into the box score, okay? McCord, quarterback from Ohio State, no touchdowns, 1 pick, only had 239 yards. Top running back from Ohio State only had 57 yards.
It's awful.
The top receiver for Ohio State was 98 and tight end. That's not who should be leading.
Right?
Yeah, tight end.
Kid. He's
Stover.
Pretty big kid. Yeah, he's a great player, but just like you said, you would expect the running back to have 12, 15 carries only on 239 yards of passing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I tell you what.
And Caleb Williams at Southern Cal, I think they called him off. He still had 319 yards and 5 touchdowns in the 66-14 romp over Nevada.
Yeah.
Penn State, not exactly sure on them.
There's –
roll on down through here. Carolina and South Carolina. Let me start there.
Yes.
Does it bother you that Drake May was not the top quarterback?
No.
Okay.
He manages the game.
Okay.
We already know what he's capable of doing, right? We know what he can do. The thing that impressed me was their defense.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to play the run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rattler had, 353? Okay.
Yep.
How many touchdowns did he have?
He had none.
Okay.
And no
That's
picks.
managing the game. Forget about it's kind of like saying, Lanny, in baseball, well, this guy hits 432 with nobody on, but with runners on base, he hits 166. Where's the productivity, man?
Yeah.
Okay? So stats are important, but they have to be scrutinized inside of situational things that come up to explain the nature of the statistic instead of the overall nature of it. You have to break those things down. People that are stat-oriented, which are analysts, they are very important and very much needed in sport, regardless of the sport, right? But where you get your true analytics from the analysis, side of things, is from people that have played the game and or coached it, that understand the game within the game. That doesn't dismiss anybody that's an analyst, and I'm not saying they don't know a sport. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about the intricacies of the importance of things. As a baseball player, I understand the difference between hitting 400 with nobody on, all right, and hitting 166 with guys on second and third. Okay? Most people that don't play baseball would say, well, that guy's hitting 3-something. No, he's not.
You look at Carolina's schedule, and I'm honestly, and I'll pull Clemson's up and look at it too. Carolina has a cakewalk to the end of the season.
I hope so.
I mean, they don't.
I hope so.
Not taking anything away from my Mountaineers, but I don't think they can play with them.
Not even going to match up.
I don't think they can play with them.
It's not going to happen again.
But they go to App. I'm sorry, they play App at home. They play Minnesota at home. They go to Pitt.
Yeah.
Play Syracuse, Miami, Virginia at home. They go to Georgia Tech. They play Campbell and Duke at home. Next last game of the season will be Clemson
their last
and State.
Now, I think Duke will give them a good game because it's such an intense game, okay? And I do think that when they play Georgia Tech, that there'll be some things going on there, all right? But I don't think they're going to lose. And, Clemson, to me, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Andrew yet because, he's been out of town and, things have been crazy last month. But, when we talk about things and talk about Clemson, I think they have the most to prove and not somebody like a Carolina or an NC State, right? I think Clemson does. And how are they able to do that? Where do they go?
Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out early. You're going to find out the 23rd of September because that's when Florida State comes to Death Valley.
Okay, so
you'll know right off. They play Duke tonight, play Charleston Southern next, play Florida Atlantic, and then play Florida State. They go to Statesville, Syracuse, Wake Forest, go to Miami, go to State. Notre Dame comes down. Georgia Tech comes in, Carolina comes in, then they go to South Carolina.
Are they at home versus Carolina?
Yes.
Okay, so on the ACC breakdown, where's Florida State? Which
there is no division.
All right, so they're just taking the top two.
Top two. Mm-hmm.
Laney, there's probably going to be a 3-way tie. There's probably going to be.
It just depends on who beats who.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's likely going to be a 3-way tie in that. I don't know.
But it's, and I get it. I get it. I'm not saying that this isn't a cakewalk, but you at least got a few more teams that of national prominence with Florida State, Notre Dame that you're going to have to play.
I know Carolina doesn't play Florida State, but that's not what I mean. I mean, I really think there's probably going to be a 3-way.
It wouldn't surprise me.
3-way tie. And then how would they go about breaking that since Carolina didn't play or doesn't play Florida State? And Clemson does, but Clemson plays Carolina. You see what I'm saying? How would they – what is their tie-breaking metric on
I don't know.
on that?
I have no idea.
I'm just giving an example. But let's say that Clemson – let's say that Florida State beat Clemson. Clemson kills Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. And Carolina loses to Georgia Tech. So do you punish – anyway.
I don't know. I don't know.
Let's say Clemson beats Florida State and Carolina beats Clemson. I'm just giving an example. Mm-hmm. Then there's an issue, and then Carolina slips up and loses to, like, Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Then what do? Do you punish Carolina for losing to a lesser team but beating the team that beat the other team that's number one? Or do you, and say, well, head-to-head's what matters, but yet Clemson and Florida State played the tougher teams and did their job, and only shoot! I had that happen in Legion Ball a few years ago.
Yeah,
where we had a 3-way tie for first place, and we beat all the other teams in the league, lost twice to Caldwell and once to Cherville. Cherville split with us and split with Caldwell, and then Caldwell beat us twice and split with Cherville. And then lost to two of the worst teams in the league. So, head-to-head going to the grid's what matters. I'm like, wait a minute, you're punishing my kids I kind of spun it on them, but it didn't work. I said, you're punishing my kids for beating every team they were supposed to in the league and going 1-3 against the top 2 teams. All right? Or 1-3 against the top 2 teams. But the other top 2 teams lost to these lesser teams. And so you're punished. They were like, well, we're just going by the grid. I said,
everything needs to be everything needs to be settled on the field. Let me take a break, and I got some comments coming. We'll address those when we come back.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Stifel Nicholas now has an office in your community. Stifel Nicholas is a full-service organization offering a wide range of investment vehicles and services. These include money market funds, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, retirement plans, and managed accounts, to name a few. Our financial advisors will sit down with you and help you tailor an investment plan, explaining strategies and investments which may help you achieve your personal goals. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Monday morning. Couple comments came in. Bob Duckworth said Mercer received $1.8 million for the beatdown, and they can use it.
Oh, yeah.
Chad said Mac is back. At least they played a little D.
Right.
Florida State defensive front line is the real deal.
It is.
And
it's really good.
Lindsay said, go Heels. There's only one Carolina.
Whoa.
That's true. You have to get south of the border. Todd said, saw where Dion said they only told 19 players that they wasn't going to keep them. The other 34 quit. And that's probably correct, but they knew they could see the writing on the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's absolutely okay. Let's see. Richie, good morning. Bob said Colorado has 86 players.
Yeah, 86 new ones. New players from last year.
Yeah, and Richie said, and they look like they had played together for a while.
That's true.
I think Dion is one of the things that you don't see a whole lot anymore is old school. Mm-hmm. And he came into a program where he had absolutely nothing to lose.
Right.
At Colorado.
Right.
Now, was he at Jackson State or Jacksonville State?
Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville State, because they played yesterday too, or Saturday. A lot of good football on this weekend. Now, if you go and you look at the next couple of weeks, we're doing a pick'em contest in the paper. Mm-hmm. 5 high school games, 5 college games, 5 pro games. Yep. Winner gets $100 a week. That's what we're giving away. But when you start talking about these first couple weeks of football and you're trying to put local teams in it, you can't because they don't play anybody. I mean, you want people to have to think about the game, not that,
No, you're right. You're right. I know what you're saying.
I mean, really.
And early in the year, it does make it tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where everybody kind of gets, oh, look at me, I've got this many points, and all of a sudden it's like toilet bowl.
I hate to say this, but even though these are not 2 top-ranked teams, they're local, and it probably one of the better matchups, Vanderbilt and Wake Forest, coming up this Saturday.
I would enjoy
Ball State at Georgia, Youngstown State at Ohio State. Yep. This should be a good game. Notre Dame at NC State.
Absolutely a good game. Absolutely.
Let's see. Charleston Southern at Clemson, tune-up. University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV at Michigan. Now, Ole Miss, Tulane, that's a 22 versus a 24.
Hey, you know what? Good rival game, too.
Yeah.
Being close.
Yep. A&M, Texas A&M has to travel to Miami. That may be better than you anticipate. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we got here.
A&M goes in there and loses that game.
Marshall goes to ECU. That'll be a good game.
Yeah.
That'll be a good game. Yeah. Tulsa travels to Washington. Austin Peay, or watch Austin Peay. At Tennessee. App State travels to Carolina. That's a 5:15 game. That's a weird start time, I thought.
Everybody's going to be, low. I mean, for obvious reasons. That's good for the state.
Mm-hmm.
Laney, it's almost to the point, and this will never happen, but it's almost to the point where we could have a pretty good football conference within North Carolina and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
If you took the big boys out, okay, here's what I would put.
And who do you include in the big boys?
I would take Marshall, App State, Charlotte, ECU, Wake Forest, Duke, South Carolina, Coastal.
What about ECU?
I said ECU, not say and ECU.
Okay.
And the only ones you're leaving out of those 2 states are Clemson, State, Carolina, and that's really it.
What about Wake?
I had Wake and Duke in that conference too. You could take Marshall, App, Wake, Duke, ECU.
And Marshall's West Virginia.
Charlotte. Huh?
Marshall's West Virginia.
Yeah, but it's still close enough.
What I'm saying is you're okay with
what
you're saying is it's kind of I got what you're saying. Where do you throw Virginia Tech in that?
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be, but
you know what I'm saying?
You might throw Virginia in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Old Dominion,
right? Yeah.
I mean, because, where from where Virginia's playing. But, yeah.
And what's the other one? It's not Richmond. It's James Madison.
James Madison.
JMU.
But aren't they still FCS?
In that, but they're still –
2 national championships in FCS. Yeah. No, I agree.
And if you got Charlotte in there, they're not as good as
I mean you got teams that you could bus.
Well, I think the thing I was getting at is I know the national prominence, and I'm okay with that 100%. I just think it'd be really interesting to have like a Carolina Leagues conference and getting back to the roots of what the ACC was built on,
Yeah.
the tobacco belt thing. I think that'd be interesting.
The old days when App State was in the Southern Conference, App State traveled better than anybody on the away games because they could, and they were close.
Right.
App State with the Sun Belt, they're not traveling as much to Louisiana and Texas and Arkansas.
Yeah. Home games are
and you
incredible.
gave up some of that when you made that move, and everybody knew that. And that's why if it were more regional, I think it would be a much better product.
I think you were right, though. You said it more than once. It's the TV, contracts and the contracts with the larger conferences. But is it at the benefit or the demise of
student athlete? It's the demise
overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with who's it, USC and Stanford joining the ACC?
No, it's Stanford and Cal and SMU. Southern Cal and UCLA joined the Big Ten.
Big Ten,
which is the same thing.
I'm sorry, yeah. But again, this is a push that we're going to see football only for these.
You're going to start seeing people negotiate. You're going to see schools negotiating their own contracts.
I think do they already do that for lacrosse? Is that right?
And some of them they do. Some of the minor sports.
Very smart.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, I think, will be a good game for a game to watch. And then the big nightcap on Saturday night, Texas at Alabama, 7 o'clock on ESPN.
Absolutely.
Let's see. And then that's all of the big games that I see. Charlotte travels to Maryland. Maryland had a game. Charlotte had a game they won this week, but it wasn't a tremendous amount of competition. Stanford travels to Southern Cal. That one's in there.
Well, that'd be good.
There's just there's not a whole lot to kind of pick from on that. Now, let me switch gears right quick. I got a baseball question that has been on my mind that only you can answer.
Okay.
And I know you don't like it any more than I do, even though I'm not a baseballer.
Right.
The change, I heard Dan Patrick and him talking about it, and it's changed a little bit this year. There used to be some kind of off-the-wall statistics like a 30-30 club, 30 stolen bases, 30 home runs, those kind of things.
Right.
And you're seeing some of that kind of come back.
Yeah.
And when you look at where baseball has gone, that everything is a home run or a strikeout. There's no small ball in it anymore. Now, I know analytics is playing a part of that, and that's coming from higher above.
It is.
But
it is.
See if I'm oversimplifying this. Is that not easier for the batter than trying to create runs and base hits and manufacture runs?
In theory, they just got one job, and that's try to hit it out of the park. Right?
Well, and some of the comments from the players are, they're not paying me to steal bases. They're paying me to hit home runs.
And they're right.
But that's so wrong for the game.
No, I agree with that. But the players are correct in what they're saying because that is what they are getting paid to do. Okay? It's like, I was talking to Quinn before he left, this morning, go back up to school. Basically, they want him to hit the ball at the warning track or over the fence. They don't want a single to left field. That's no more productive than him hitting the ball to the warning track. So it's all about what they call quality at bats. They have like science behind certain players. What's interesting to your point is that very few pitchers today control the running game because they've kind of skewed the rules and as far as how many times you can throw over, the speed of the pitch, those kind of things, right? What's interesting to me is that very few pitchers in today's game go with what they call a slide step or a knee-to-knee. Most of them get a big leg kick. Well, that is going to open the door when you have a little bit larger bases, okay? It's going to open the door for more stolen bases because it takes longer for them to deliver the ball to the plate. Now, these catchers are incredible. Their pop times, are amazing from home to second. They are. They're almost, it's insane. However, just like anything else, the longer it takes for the ball to get there, the greater chance you got to swipe in the bag. And after a guy throws over so many times, that's it. He's got to go to the plate. So, Yeah, I can see the game eventually, just like in football. You know, they started in the shotgun, got under center. Now everybody's back in the gun. I can see us going under center again and running veer and veer option and option load and doing what these smaller schools are doing at these bigger schools as the game evolves. I can see it. Yeah, is it happening yet? No. But I can see it starting to come in. You see the power back. That's all you used to see in football, out of the gun and then out of under center. You saw the big fullback like you guys had at Clemson, or one of the tailbacks. I can't remember which one it was that you guys had when you were playing, was such a powerful runner, and then they had a really fast kid back there. So you're seeing the game, you know, continue to evolve, especially as the corners and the defensive ends / outside linebackers get better and better and better at what they do. You've got to start manipulating at them and make them make a decision instead of letting them just make a play. So things will start evolving again. I believe.
In baseball, the part that bothers me, and here again, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but in baseball, the thing that was so sacred, so important to the players were the stats. There are baseball stats now that I can't see ever getting broken because they don't play the game the same way.
Right.
Is that a fair statement?
I mean, yeah, it may be, you know, when we say ever being broken, potentially, each record will fall, but the game will have to go through, a turnover point, right, like a reset point, and then that will have to come back around. It goes in phases and goes in shifts.
Right.
And it's just, Lane, there's a lot of things evolve, and they have in the last 20 years, 30 years, based on science. That's kind of the go-to word when we really don't know what we're talking about. And what's happening is manipulation of certain skill sets, have set in and looked at as the prominent parts. Think of it as the combine. A kid a player that's trying to get drafted by the NFL may not have played the last season or two, but if he goes in and runs really fast, if he jumps really high, if he does a certain amount of bench with 225 or whatever it is, how many times, then all of a sudden, the metrics are there. We got to get him. But then when he comes out on the field, is he able to play? Is he a football player? And we see epic failures, not of the players because they can only do what they can do, but of the system. Because of what it promotes.
You're not getting a true representation of who they are. Now, when you look at it from a baseball standpoint, when you're evaluating or scouting a player, are you getting, even though the game has changed and what they look for has changed, do you really get a true evaluation of a player?
Because now they're just going out and showing what they can and do. All right, and you are hopeful that they can continue to show that on a consistent basis on the field. But the biggest problem now is kids are leaving high school and going into college, and they don't know how to play baseball. They just know how to perform baseball.
Right.
Certain skill sets within it. Throw really hard. They may not understand pitch counts as well, right? They don't pitch anymore. They throw, right? Kids are throwing harder. Kids are faster because they're training. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. The next phase in all of this, all right, is learning the game. And the game has changed so much that the people like myself that grew up in an era and played in an era have a hard time identifying with what's going on
But
today.
Is that not backwards? Shouldn't the foundation be built first, not afterwards?
That's right. But remember, we are science-based now, so we give the excuse and reason, all right, maybe not excuse, reason, maybe excuse, whatever, of it's the science. So because science equals smart in our minds, we're supposed to follow the scientific whatever of it instead of using our brains and thinking clearly. I know that if I was a head football coach, okay, a head basketball coach, or a head baseball coach in football, okay, I'd probably run an odd front based on the team that I had and be very, very tough in each of the first three gaps, okay, on the offensive side, because kids really aren't taught defense anymore. everything's spread out. I would line up toe to toe and mash people to death and run, all kinds of stuff inside. Okay, because we saw East Duplin do that to Reidsville in the 2A state championship. They took away the athleticism when they lined up and said, who's got the more willpower? Okay, it's kind of like a grudge match. You can run around and be athletic all you want. Eventually, you're going to get your ass wore out, and then you're going to get beat.
Right.
Basketball, play good man-to-man defense with some trap stuff. Keep a foot in the lane, every now and then. Not let them run up down the field, down the court, frustrate them. And after they're frustrated, then turn it on. Baseball, strictly bunting. Bunting behind runners, stealing, bunting behind them. Everything I could do.
Small ball.
Absolutely.
Because nobody plays it.
Because it frustrates people.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bobby or Coach Reynolds at Cherryville the other day. He and I were talking about some things about next summer and some of the exciting things they got going on down there with, hosting and things like that. And we were talking about that. And he said, it's just one of those things that, most teams, they just show up and hit. He's like, I'm still wanting kids to, understand fundamental baseball. He said, no, I like for them to hit home runs. He said, it's fun, exciting, and all that. He said, but when I got a kid up there that can't hit one, I want him to do what he needs to do to help us be successful.
You got to find something he and the team can be successful.
Yeah, and I thought that was, good for him.
Yeah. A couple comments. Richie said the Big 12 laid a big egg this past weekend. Texas State beat Baylor as a 26.5-point dog. Wyoming beat a Big 12 team, and TCU lost in double-digit favorite. Milton, good morning. Richie said the ACC, and this is the first common sense answer I have seen to this expansion question. He said the ACC added those 3 teams because when Clemson, Florida State, and Carolina leave, they can keep the conference at 15 and keep the contract with ESPN intact.
It's very good.
That makes
is it Richie? Thank you.
I haven't heard that spin, but that makes a whole lot of sense. Ronnie, good morning. He said the key to success in football is a good running quarterback. It is till you get to the highest level, and then you cannot maintain and sustain that.
That's a really good point, though. It levels the playing field for a lot of that's a good point.
I mean, but that is.
Well, I also
that's a rare commodity to try to find.
Well, also I think the key to success in football is about opportunity, and evaluation, and making sure exactly what each kid has, what they can do, and the abilities that they have, maybe things they need to work on. You kind of stay away from those while you're in performance mode, but when you're in practice mode, you work on those, right? And you kind of set long-term goals for them. And I think, the only way that you can do that effectively, is to have good evaluations of kids. And I mean at all levels, right? Youth league, middle school, high school, college, whatever. The running quarterback changed and put a lot of pressure on defenses because it gave you that third option that you normally wouldn't have, like out of the the old like the old wing tee, but the old single wing and the box and those kind of things, right? Where you had a quarterback that was basically a distributor for the inside reverses and all those things, right? And would be a lead blocker like a Paul Horning maybe, is that right? A little bit before my time, but paid attention a lot to those things. But I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of exciting stuff, and I can see like Georgia State. They get in there and get between the tackles. Sean.
But it's a different level of football. And what I mean by that is it's easier to find that type of football player with that skill set at that level than it is up here because the game has changed so much at its highest level.
Right, and it's and you're right, because they spread things out.
That's why you see Division II and III teams, they play a little more basic football.
Right, but that's why, they what they're doing is they're spreading out and playing basketball on a football field. You're hitting the guy cutting to the basket or the goal, trying to hit him back door, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of and that doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it what it is. But a tactical shift at some point will start occurring to some degree where the athleticism will not be out this way. It'll be more concentrated. And the only way to do that is by having bigger, more athletic offensive linemen.
Yeah. Well, I've said
which is coming.
I've said
it's
all along,
every year.
You're going to get away from the big 300, 325-pound linemen on both sides of the ball, the motor graders.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have people in there that are athletic that can move. That's what it's going to take.
You'll see him tap out at 275, 280.
Yep.
He can still move like that one big kid from Florida State last night. It was so good. But I can see some things evolving as a number of participants and competitors at the lower levels start. Things are changing. Like, there's more organizations now with football,
right,
than there are just your recreation and then your youth league and your middle school and your high school. More people are going to more organizational type settings because of opportunities that may or may not be fully capitalized on based in the educational setting. So anytime that is kind of taken away or neglected, people will take matters into their own hands and form things. There's some sports in high school that have basically become irrelevant for recruiting because things were neglected. Wrong, right, bad, whatever. No,
but it is what it is.
That's where we are.
Right, and kids are looking for, where do I get my opportunity?
Right, and unfortunately the focus is on where they're going instead of where their feet are touching the ground.
Yeah.
I heard a comment, well, my coach at so-and-so, and this is a junior in high school, my coach at so-and-so said that where I'm going to go to school said that they don't want me playing defense.
You already got that signature? I always say those offers aren't any good until you get that National Signing Day when you actually get that nailed down.
You best go to such and such because they'll probably be okay with that. But here, that ain't.
And you still have to get by here.
That ain't the way it's going to happen.
Yeah. Lincoln, good morning. You brought up a good point. Just look at Air Force and how their linemen block, and they're very smart on top of that. All the service academies are like that. And the other side of that, anything that's got a military or service academy background, you will not outplay them and you will not wear them down.
I heard a guy tell me one time, it's a long time ago in Valdez when I was a kid, he said the reason we'll never get invaded in this country is because we play football.
Wow.
I said, what? He said, no. So we play football. He's like, you get knocked on your rear end and you get back up, that means you don't quit.
Right.
When you're being attacked by somebody, they want you to quit.
Yes.
I never really understood that until I got older, but he may be right. I don't know. But hey, that was 40 years ago.
Seems like there could be something to that.
So, I don't know.
All right, we're out of here. Have a great Labor Day. I might even take part of it off today. I don't know. You here tomorrow?
Nope.
Okay. We'll see you when we see you. Have a good one.